I upgraded the Dream SMP. Using the seed and pre-existing locations, I decided to transform the SMP with brand new roads, buildings, and features, all of which reflect the old ones. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe as it helps me out a ton. I'm going to be completing the entire SMP in a multi-part series, so subscribing would help to make sure you never miss a video. We're starting off today on the hilly forest biome that may not seem recognizable, but it's actually a very commonly visited intersection on the SMP which connects the main road with the road leading to L'Manberg. As you can probably tell by the road choice, I'm going for a modern city design here. Before I started the roads, I made some markings to make sure the roads are in the exact right spot in relation to the ones on the actual SMP. Of course, people aren't usually meant to walk on these types of roads, so I decided to build a small sidewalk on one of the sides before starting my first house. This is the location of Tommy Innit's house, buried inside of the nearby hill. Going off of some of its features, I decided to use plenty of smooth stone for this build. The interior of this house is mostly made of this block, and it works nicely with modern city buildings. I also want to keep the hill visible on the sides to preserve this feature as much as possible. Now that the first building is finished, I decided to do some more work on the roads before starting the next one. I added sidewalks on more sides, along with other details like streetlights and palm trees. The light design I used here uses a unique banner pattern. A guide on the steps of this banner, along with the command to get it, will be in the description of this video. Next, we need a transition from this road to the cliffside. I decided to use a fairly simple arch pattern along with some leaves to do this. I'm almost positive that there aren't any important buildings here, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments and I'll add it in the next part of the series. Part of the cliff flattens off right here, so I decided to add a custom tree. This makes sure we don't have any dead space in our build. Our next important feature is the tunnel leading toward L'Manberg. This tunnel design is inspired by a tunnel build by Legendary from the Logcraft SMP. I decided this modern tunnel would be a perfect fit for the expanding city, and while I made a few changes, I kept it faithful to the original I based it off of. I would definitely recommend checking out the Logcraft SMP, where we do builds similar to these in Survival Minecraft. Upon finishing the tunnel, I realized how weird the terrain generated in this area. I did a bit of terraforming to cover the top sea lanterns, along with fixing this terrain with some leaves and general grass placing. It's time for our next building. Across from Tommy's house is none other than Ninja's. This house mainly uses oak planks with a bit of white wool mixed in, so I'm replicating that with a similar two-layer style to Tommy's house. At the bottom layer I'm using oak, and at the top I'm using white blocks including white wool. I ended up changing the design of the bottom quite a bit as I wanted the oak color to stand out the most on this layer. But in the end, I think I finally got a design that worked. Once I finished Ninja's house, I wanted to add more aspects of Tommy's actual base to mine. Going off of the hill theme, I decided to add a small greenhouse on the roof of the building. I also decorated the roof with an AC unit and fan, and did the same with Ninja's house. While this area is starting to come together, it doesn't quite feel like a city yet. So, I decided to add a few more buildings behind Tommy's house. These buildings don't reflect an actual location, but I wanted to add them just to enhance the feel of a city. Our first building mainly uses gray blocks, and it's much smaller than the more noticeable buildings, like Tommy's and Ninja's. Since it doesn't reflect an actual location, I don't want it to stand out that much. The second building uses more red blocks like terracotta and granite. It's very similar in shape to the first one, however I decided to make it slightly smaller. With these new buildings added, I felt like there needed to be something in between them and Tommy's house. I didn't want to get rid of the hill though, so instead I decided to make a small deck overlooking the cliff. The deck is accessed through stairs from the other side of Tommy's house, and I decorated it with a picnic table and umbrella. Of course, the red and white on the umbrella is meant to represent the two main colors of Tommy in it. As I extend the cliffside archways further down the road, we can get a view of all the progress we've made in this episode. We still have much more work to go, so if you're still watching, leave a comment with what area you want to see upgraded next time. And of course, like and subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, goodbye.